You may be asking, how did the mortar even get here? Another tip is when you come out to your car, don't put your bags in the back seat. Instead, put them in the trunk. That way, they're out of sight. During these times of uncertainty, the rules about your money really haven't changed. It's just time for them to be reinforced. Even with tough economic times compounded with unstable financial markets, advisors say it's still not time to panic, but it is time to take a closer look at how you spend and save your money. We're joined by Lonnie Miley, who's the chairman of the Public Works and Engineering Committee. And it all sounds great on paper, but I know you have some concerns. What are they? The ballroom has cleared out, but the excitement remains about Robert Rickert becoming Macon's next mayor. We're joined now by the mayor-elect. How does that sound?
Oh, it sounds great.
Jim Davis told Bill Vaughn that he was thinking about retiring. Bill Vaughn, who's the chairman of the board, just didn't know when. It comes at a crucial time when the board is trying to restore faith back into the office. Vaughn says he's disappointed, but assures the public that all of the work will still get done. We told you about the increases in check fraud, but that's not the only scam out there. The IRS is working to make sure scammers don't steal your tax refund.
Aundrea, is this an unusual find?
Unfortunately, no, Brooke. It's an area where explosives have been found before. Today, bomb technicians detonated the explosives, but say they won't be surprised if they're called into the area again. Bomb squads are called to Twix County after loggers find at least 70 mortars like this one while clearing the field.
These things are extremely dangerous. And the fact that they're rusted, the fact that they look old, means absolutely nothing. The explosives are still inside.
Although this mortar is not much bigger than a cell phone, if it explodes, it would kill everyone within a 131-foot radius.
All you have to do is treat it the wrong way one time, and that's the last chance you get.
That's why blowing them up is the safest way to get rid of them.
So this is the ideal place to do it. We're away from public, the safest place. We just have to make sure we take all safety precautions.
You may be asking, how did the mortar even get here? Back during World War II, this used to be the site of Camp Wheeler's artillery range. And more than 60 years later, explosives are still here.
We found hand grenades and all kinds of unexploded ordnance up here in this area.
And there's no way to know how many more are buried in these fields.
It could be anywhere. It can be just a couple of inches below the ground. Anytime it rains, we find stuff like this. There's just no telling how many people it would take and how much time to actually sweep an area this size.
It's not the first time explosives have been found, and it's not expected to be the last. Once again, even though these mortars have been around for more than 60 years, they're still very dangerous. If you happen to find one, you're advised to leave it alone and call law enforcement immediately. For many of us, we've been wanting our own personal bailout long before this meltdown on Wall Street. Even with tough economic times compounded with unstable financial markets, advisors say it's still not time to panic, but it is time to take a closer look at how you spend and save your money.
I have wondered if I needed to do something as far as get my money out of the bank, keep a stash of it at my house in case something happens.
Bailout for Wall Street, or just call it economic rescue package. Is it absolutely necessary?
Questions are swirling after another week of this.
A vote for this bill is a vote to prevent economic damage to you and your community.
The financial equivalent of an economic heart attack.
Hundreds of miles from Capitol Hill and Wall Street, the effects of the $700 billion bailout will eventually trickle down to your wallets.
One of the big principles is there's no free lunch in this. You know, we're going to pay for it one way or another.
One way is eventually through higher taxes, no matter who's in the White House. It's already become even harder to borrow money.
Getting your hands on funds to do what you need to do as a business or as an individual. It's to meet obligations, pay bills, buy inventory.
During these times of uncertainty, the rules about your money really haven't changed. It's just time for them to be reinforced.
Not spending more than what comes in is the key.
It's the same old story. Diversification, diversification, diversification.
Be in it for the long haul. You know, if you're trying to make a quick buck, this is not the time to be doing it.
Steve Jukes advises people to consider alternative sources of income to meet their needs. Tapping into your retirement account should be off limits.
Even perhaps a second job, or if you're a retiree, a part-time job, to meet your obligations instead of liquidating your investments at rock bottom prices.
Times are tough, but experts say don't panic. Better days are ahead.
Keep a long-term perspective and recognize that this too shall pass.
How you proceed depends on how old you are, your current financial situation, and how much risk you're willing to take. Overall, now more than ever, it's important to save. Make sure your bank accounts and brokerage accounts are federally insured. That way, if your bank goes under, your money is safe. And it's still okay to invest in the stock market because prices are low, but only do this if you plan to invest for 5 or more years. According to the Bibb County Sheriff's Department and the Macon Police Department, for the past 2 years, crime has decreased in the city and county. They say partnerships with neighborhood organizations like the Neighborhood Watch has helped keep the numbers down. Here's a look at one neighborhood where keeping the streets safe is everybody's business.
And this is Mr. Cisa and Mr.
Annie Cornelius knows a little something about everyone on her street.
He is the second person to build a house on this street.
That's because they're no strangers on Northbrook Avenue.
My husband and I, we sent out flyers and we went from door to door and we spoke to everybody about trying to keep the neighborhood safe, and they were all for it. And so we had our first meeting at my house.
And the Neighborhood Watch began. That was 8 years ago.
When people see people going down the street or something like that, they get curious about who that is.
The idea is simple. Neighbors watch out for each other. If they see someone suspicious, they call the police. And it's working.
We caught someone trying to break in the computer place. We also had what we call a glass house, I'm from Illinois, in the neighborhoods, and we got them out of here.
So today we joined together to give crime a going away party.
The National Night Out celebrates the partnership between law enforcement and the community. It's a way for residents to take ownership of their neighborhood and combat crime.
Let's get out there. Let's tell them we're not going to have crime in Macon and Bibb County. We're tired of your nonsense there. We're either going to put you in jail or run you out of the county, but we don't want no more crime.
I want them to be able to come out of their house, not just for an appointment or something. I want them to be able to sit on their porch and read their papers, and things like that, and not be afraid to come out.
On Northbrook Avenue, that's a reality because residents decided to come together.
The National Night Out was also celebrated in Warner Robins, and this is the 25th year the program has been celebrated locally. According to police, Michael Gibson was shot Sunday morning while parked in front of the M&N Food Mart on Montpelier Avenue. Now, just a few days later, his mother says some are painting a very different picture of the man she raised. The details of the crime are still unknown, but one thing Michael's family knows for sure is that he isn't another statistic.
This is Michael's baby picture, one eye open, one eye closed.
Memories are all Mary Gibson has left of her son Michael.
I remember him kissing me on my cheek. I remember him mowing the lawn without me asking.
Michael Gibson was shot early Sunday morning at a convenience store while on his way to work.
He gave me a call Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning. He was dead.
It was one of 2 murders that Sunday morning, and police believe they're related.
They are gang related, and we're going to leave it at that at this time.
You just can't put everybody in the same boat, just because this happened.
Loving father, Army veteran, and avid bowler are ways Michael's family describes him. Not a gang member.
Sung in the choir at church and many different gospel groups and uplifted the name of Jesus.
And if the wounds didn't hurt enough, they say this association cuts even deeper.
It hurts one, whereby all you can do is scream. It hurts one to have their child in a crime lab, not breathing.
As she mourns, she wants to set the record straight, making sure Michael's memory isn't tainted.
He'll forever live in my heart.
Michael was 37 years old. Along with parents, siblings, and a wife, he leaves behind his 5-year-old daughter. The Gibson family hopes that the killer is brought to justice. If you have any information, you're asked to call the Macon Police Department.
cars couldn't help slowing down to see what's left of 417 Mosley Avenue after an early morning fire gutted the home.
Oh, the whole front of the house was on fire. So I ran and tried to wake everybody up. And I thought I had woke everybody up, but I didn't.
When firefighters arrived minutes later, they ran in trying to save the 2 children inside. It was too late.
It was just very emotional because I have kids of my own, and so when they say 2 kids were still in the house, I didn't know what to say or what to do.
The children were later identified as 2-year-old Hezekiah Harris and 4-year-old Tadarius Harris. It's been more than 12 hours since the fire first began, and the smell of smoke still fills the air. When investigators came on the scene, they considered all possibilities and finally determined that the fire was arson.
I would just hate to think that somebody would be so mean to deliberately, to burn somebody out and cause these innocent little kids, innocent little angels, their lives.
Now, this house is a murder scene, and investigators are trying to determine who's responsible.
These 2 children will never grow up. We need to know exactly what happened so that we can get this case resolved and make sure that justice is done.
Until then, the community and family mourn.
All I can think about those 2 little babies, how they suffer. They're some great kids, though. Really gonna miss them.
The sheetrock got weak, it just fell. The water caused it to fall down.
The Watts family's dinner table, the place where they would relax, and even their marriage license is ruined.
Basically, it's like we homeless. I mean, we don't have anything. I mean, all my stuff is messed up.
They were finally getting their roof repaired after the Mother's Day tornadoes, when city inspectors stopped contractors while working.
He said, well, they don't have a permit. I said, well, my roof is still exposed. I still need to. He said, well, you need to tell them to go to Walmart to get a tarp or something. I said, well, they gone.
Marco had no problem getting a permit, but thunderstorms were on their way and the house was exposed. After pleading with inspectors, the rain began and it was too late. When inspectors come by, this is what they'll be looking for. It'll either be a yellow or green permit that's posted outside the home that basically says that all the paperwork has been filed to allow for work to be done. A permit allows the city to inspect the work and keep a history of major repairs. Lee Smith can't discuss this case, but says generally,
we have to go by state laws.
Then it's right before school starts, so now we scrambling. We got kids, they don't have nothing, and we trying to get whatever we can.
If I'd have known that I can go down there and get a permit for them to start working on my house, that's what I would have did in the beginning, and we wouldn't have this disaster that we have now.
And the permit only cost $25. I'm Aundrea Cline-Thomas. Brooke Martin has the evening off. Today, students at Perry High School were notified that one of their peers died from a bacterial infection. The 17-year-old female had meningococcal disease. Here's a look at how students are coping and how to make sure your child is not at risk. Thieves in Bibb County are targeting homes and breaking into cars at a rising rate. Law enforcement officials say the slowing economy may be to blame. Corinne Savitsky explains. After a beautiful week, you want a great weekend.
Yeah,
but
well, you're going to almost have it. It's not totally gone because we will see some showers.
2 of Macon's museums are facing financial troubles after lawmakers cut its state funding. Now, some lawmakers want to move the sports and music halls of fame to Atlanta for better exposure. Kelly Starnes explains what needs to be done to save these local attractions. 2008 is starting off with a blast of cold temperatures. Tonight, they're expected to drop into the teens. All of the proceeds from First Night Macon help fund programs and provide scholarships for children who attend summer arts camp. Last year, the event raised about $12,000.